In the city that projects American power and democracy to the world, a fundamental question is being asked: who is in control? This isn't a debate, it's a constitutional confrontation. A line has been drawn between the elected government of Washington, D.C., and the federal authority of the United States. And at stake is the command of the city's own police force. It began with a presidential emergency declaration, an instrument of immense federal power. Citing what it called an uncontrollable surge in violent crime, the Trump administration activated federal authority over the District of Columbia. What followed was a swift and decisive directive from the Office of the U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi. In an unprecedented move, the existing command structure of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, or MPD, was dismantled from the top. Chief Pamela Smith, an appointee of the city's mayor, was effectively stripped of her ultimate authority. In her place, the head of the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration, Terry Cole, was installed as interim commissioner, seizing final operational control over the department's 3,800 sworn officers. The federal intervention didn't stop at leadership. Attorney General Bondi issued a second, equally seismic order. Washington, D.C.'s status as a sanctuary city was immediately revoked. The long-standing municipal policy limiting cooperation with federal immigration enforcement was declared void. MPD officers were now mandated to comply fully with agencies like ICE. The message was clear. Federal priorities would now be the guiding force for law enforcement in the capital. The move, however, was not met with silence. From the city's government came a swift and unified roar of defiance. D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb, standing before the press, announced an immediate legal challenge. His office filed for an emergency temporary restraining order, aiming to halt the federal takeover in its tracks. The lawsuit frames the administration's actions as an illegal overreach, arguing it will sow chaos, confusion, and danger within the police force. Schwalb called it nothing less than the gravest threat to home rule the district has ever faced. That phrase, home rule, is central to this conflict. For more than a century, D.C. was run by presidentially appointed commissioners. It wasn't until 1973 that Congress passed the Home Rule Act, granting the city's residents the right to elect their own mayor and city council for the first time. For more than 50 years, that act has been the bedrock of the city's autonomy. Now, city leaders argue, it is under direct assault. This entire confrontation is fueled by two starkly different realities. For the administration, the justification is a matter of public safety, backed by stark numbers. Federal press releases paint a picture of a city besieged by crime that local officials were unwilling or unable to control. They highlight the immediate impact of their multi-agency task force, pointing to the arrests of murder suspects, the seizure of illegal firearms, and the removal of deadly narcotics like fentanyl from the streets. To them, this isn't a power grab, it's a necessary restoration of law and order. That narrative resonates with many residents who feel left behind, who see the rising tide of carjackings and violence as proof the city's strategies have failed. Yet for thousands of others, the sight of federal agents surging into their city is a terrifying proposition. They see a different narrative, one of a political power play, using their home as a stage. They argue the administration is usurping the authority of a majority Black city's elected leadership and question the legality of a federal official with no accountability to D.C. voters commanding their police force. But how is this even possible? The answer lies in the very fabric of the U.S. Constitution. Article 1 grants Congress the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over the district established as the seat of government. Unlike the 50 states, which possess sovereign powers, D.C. is a federal territory. Its police department was originally created by an act of Congress. And while the Home Rule Act granted the city significant powers of self-government, it did not and could not erase Congress's ultimate constitutional authority.
It is this unique legal and political status, this constitutional fault line, that the administration is now exploiting. The immediate future of the Metropolitan Police Department will be decided not on the streets, but within the walls of a courtroom. Lawyers for the city will argue for their restraining order, claiming the administration has overstepped its statutory authority. The Department of Justice will counter, asserting its constitutional prerogative to ensure order in the federal district. This is more than a jurisdictional dispute. It is a defining test for American federalism and the rights of 700,000 American citizens who pay federal taxes and serve in the military but lack full voting representation in Congress. The court's decision and the appeals that will inevitably follow will set a critical precedent for the enduring struggle between local autonomy and federal power in the nation's capital.